All right, welcome back to the channel. So we got a good fight coming up this week between Jamel Herring and Shakur Stevenson for the WBO 130-pound title. They just weighed in, and I think the weigh-in lets us know what more than likely is going to happen in the fight. Short of it is, Jamel look a little bit like a skeleton over there. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So we got a great fight coming up this weekend. Everybody's been looking forward to for a while. Not necessarily two of the biggest names in the sport, but definitely two of, one of the best young fighters in the sport, and a guy that's been around for a while, man, doing his thing on his grind in Jamel Herring. Before I get into what I saw at the weigh-in, though, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and help support the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. So looking at the weigh-in, first of all, people have been asking me for my prediction for this fight all week for the last couple weeks, and I've been steadfast and pretty sure, steadfast, I won't be, that's like an oxymoron right there, steadfast and pretty sure. I've been almost positive that the winner of this fight is going to be Shakur Stevenson. And the reason why I picked Shakur Stevenson was just a different skill level between the two dudes from what I've seen in the ring. I think Jamel Herring is a good fighter, somebody that will give anybody, a good run in the ring. But I just have never really been overly impressed with his talent level. He seems like a guy that really works hard, grinds hard, is a very disciplined guy, very smart guy. And as a result of that, he can beat a lot of the guys who are, kind of middle of the road to lower upper level fighters. Not all of his fights have been particularly easy. You've had, except for, like the last fight where he got Carl Frampton out of there. But, I think he was just so much bigger than Carl Frampton. And Carl Frampton was later in his career, that was, just kind of the end of Carl Frampton's career. So even though I like Jamel Herring and I like him a lot as a person and I like his mentality, him being a Marine, just tells me, you get a lot of personality characteristics from him just knowing that the man's a Marine. But I've been picking Shakur Stevenson because Shakur Stevenson is a real boxer. And I mean, like a kid that I think, started boxing at a very young age, somebody that has exceptional talent, and somebody that, like Andre Ward said, not only really has the ability, has the chance of being, one of the best fighters right now, but has a chance at being an all-time great fighter, depending upon the matchups that he gets, at 130 pounds, at 135 pounds. He, of all the guys that are there in those weight classes, I think Shakur Stevenson is a talent level at least on par with them, if not a little bit higher. And that southpaw stance and the fact that he can fight on the inside and fight on the outside. He's also somebody that's not really, he's not obsessed with getting a knockout. He's somebody that does not mind, waiting for the knockout to come and as a result winning a decision. Right, so those are the basic reasons why I thought, that Shakur Stevenson definitely coming out of the southpaw stance for Jamel Herring is going to be a lot of problems. Also, the matchmaking of Top Rank, they're very, very good top matchmakers. And Shakur Stevenson was a younger fighter. I don't even believe that their matchmakers and all that would make the fight if they didn't think Shakur Stevenson had a decision, had the ability to win that fight. And I think that he's going to win it going away. But now that I've seen the weigh-in, Jamel Herring, man, looked very, very drained in that weigh-in, man. Like, he didn't look very energetic. He looked like, he had actually overshot the weight a little bit, going in at 129.8. Shakur Stevenson weighed in at right on 130. But if you looked at how Jamel Herring looked at his body, he just looked very drawn, man. Like he doesn't have a lot of time left at that weight class. He's a tall guy for that weight class. I mean, he's not a young fighter. I wouldn't say he's an old fighter, but he's not a young fighter. And I think that he just may have really made that weight class one too many times. And it looked like he had, if he didn't have trouble making weight because he's a really disciplined person in between fights, he just looked very, very drawn, man. And I mean, you could see like he didn't have a 6-pack, man. He had like, a 12-pack, man, because you could see all the muscles all around the side, all around the side of his stomach. And it was just looking at the two and looking how Shakur Stevenson looked like, he looked like trim and fit, but he didn't look like he didn't look emaciated. And that's how Jamel Herring looked to me. He looked emaciated. So for me, knowing the kind of fighter that Shakur Stevenson is, knowing the kind of fight that Jamel Herring is, I think that really feeds right into Shakur Stevenson's hands. If Shakur Stevenson, is going to take a few rounds figuring each other out, but the longer that fight goes and the more the Jamel Herring, if Jamel Herring gets a little bit tired, punches come, the snap comes off of his punches just a little bit because he looks like he's weight drained. Then you're gonna have Shakur Stevenson being able to step up in the second half of the fight with all of the strength that he wants in the ring. He looked like this was a natural, comfortable weight for him. His face looked full. His body didn't look overly cut, right? And I think that is going to make a big difference in this fight, aside just from the talent side of it. And the fact that, Jamel Herring to me, and I've said this, pretty much the whole time, again, I got to say, because Jamel Herring's a really nice guy. I don't have anything against Jamel Herring, but Jamel Herring just seems to be kind of like, Floyd Mayweather Jr. would say about, I think, what did he say that about? Maybe Robert the Ghost Guerrero, or he said it about Victor Ortiz. I can't remember exactly who it is he said it about, but he was like, look, this guy is straight up and down, no special effects. Straight up and down, no special effects. He's going to be coming at Shakur Stevenson with a very basic approach to the fight. I mean, Jamel Herring is kind of, he's not somebody that is really going to outbox Shakur Stevenson. I don't think he has a prayer of outboxing Shakur Stevenson, because Shakur Stevenson hand and foot speed, I think that he's going to be able to, go through periods of time of pot shotting Jamel Herring. And Jamel Herring, even though he is a type of guy that will come forward, I don't really see him as having the type of grit and the type of, just kind of, who would be a good example of a fighter that fights like that? Like somebody that comes forward and is really looking to wear your body down, is willing to take shots, to give shots and get there, and weaken Shakur Stevenson over a length of rounds, right? So, the one shot that I would give for somebody at that weight class to beat Shakur Stevenson, or actually that's a good example of it, Oscar Valdez, right? Like if you watch Oscar Valdez with the Conceição fight, steroids or PEDs, whatever you want to call it, aside, he had the approach to the fight where he was just going to keep coming forward, and eventually wear down the guy that was fighting from the outside, and then, eventually start landing the big shots on him and all that. Jamel Herring does not seem like that type of fighter to me. And on top of it, I don't think that avenue is really going to be open for him with Shakur Stevenson any way it goes, let alone coming in looking like you're a little bit drained. Now, the last fight that I saw with Jamel Herring, I got to put this caveat in there. I thought Jamel Herring was going to be able to beat Carl Frampton. I did not know that he would dominate Carl Frampton and knock Carl Frampton. I do believe he knocked Carl Frampton out, or was a stoppage. If I'm wrong, please forgive me. But I know he put that hurt and he put the work on Carl Frampton a lot more so than I thought he would when the fight was being named. So maybe there's a chance that I'm underestimating Jamel Charlo. But if I was you, I would not put my money on Jamel Herring. And again, for several reasons. Number one, Shakur Stevenson is a better talent than Jamel Herring. Number two, the matchmakers over there at Top Rank for a young champion like Jamel Herring are not going to put him in a fight that they don't feel very comfortable that he can win, because they got so much money invested in him. And Jamel Herring in that particular weigh-in looked a little bit drained to me. So after that, though, I'm going to be interested to see what the winner does. Again, I think it's Shakur Stevenson, and whether or not he'll be fighting Oscar Valdez yet. So, this fight, I think, is really just kind of a lead-in to a bigger fight that's going to take place between Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez. At least I hope that it'll happen, and I hope Top Rank doesn't protect Oscar Valdez from Shakur Stevenson. Oscar Valdez is talking about he wants a Shakur Stevenson fight. So anyway, I hope we definitely hope we get it. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.